Okay, so I think we can start this session. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this informative session of the European Innovation Ecosystems. It's a great pleasure to have you all here. I see we have already close to 200 participants. If we go to the next slide to introduce myself, my name is Gérald Culteau, and I am the Deputy Head of Unit in ISMEA, the European Innovation Council and SME Executive Agency. I will be moderating this session, which will entail a great lineup of speakers. But first, I would like to give you some housekeeping rules. First thing is that you have to note that your camera and microphones are switched off by default. You can join this conversation via Slido, going to www.slido.com with the event code hashtag EIE2024. And please note that this meeting is recorded. So if you do not want your name to appear in the recording, please submit the questions in Slido as anonymous. You have a flash code here that you can use to ask your questions. If we go to the next slide, you will see in Slido that we have what we call two rooms for questions. Please choose a room where you want to ask questions. The first room is a red button, and it is for the African Union, European Union Innovation Platform topic. And you have a second one, which is the blue dot that you can see here, where this room is dedicated for the Startup Europe topic. So you will have the opportunity to ask the questions, to ask also and to vote for the questions to be asked to our speakers. And we will do our best, obviously, to answer all of your questions. If we go quickly to the agenda, the opening will be done by Birgit Weidel, who is the head of department at ISMEA. She's responsible for the innovation ecosystems, SMP, entrepreneurship, and consumers programs. She will be followed by Yekaterina Novikova, who is deputy head of unit in the commission in DG RTD, in the unit responsible for innovation policy and access to finance. And she will provide you with the policy context of the European innovation ecosystem. Then we will dive into the first topic with Fadila Bouganemi, Deputy Head of Unit from the International Cooperation Unit in DG RTD. And she will present the policy context of this first topic, the African Union, European Union Innovation Platform. And she will be followed by Catalin Tichero, who is a project advisor in the Innovation Ecosystem Unit in ISMEA. And Catalin will present the topic itself. We will have a session with Q&A, so we expect to have this around 11. And we will start then, of course, to have this question and answers for the first topic. Then you will have the presentation of the second topic, Startup Europe. And you will have first a presentation of the policy context by Yekaterina, and Catalin will present the topic itself. So we expect to conclude this session after a second Q&A on the Startup Europe, and the conclusion should be slightly after 12. If we go to the next slide, and we have some conclusions, but if we go to the next slide, which is very important, is that we would like to remind you that the call text prevails over these slides. And if you have any doubt, always go back to the call text of the EIE work program 2023-2024. So with this and without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Birgit Weidel for the opening. And dear Birgit, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, Gerald, and good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to all the participants to this information session. On behalf of ISMEA, I would really like to welcome you to this information session. Let me start with a few words on our agency. ISMEA, the European Executive Agency for Innovation and SMEs, is an executive agency that is tasked by the Commission to implement a number of programs that are dedicated to support innovation, innovators, but also more generally small and medium-sized companies. And we manage a series of programs under Horizon Europe. We have the European Innovation Council, the European Innovation Ecosystems, which is the program under which we are running the course, that you will have the information session, but we also implement the single market program and the interregional innovation investment instrument. So have a look at our agency, because I think we really have an interesting portfolio. Let me also say a few words more specifically on the European Innovation Ecosystem Program. And as you know, we like acronyms in the EU. In the future, I will refer to it to the EIE. So this program has been really designed to foster collaboration, networking, and inclusive growth amongst all players in innovation across Europe. So it recognizes specifically the importance of engaging all the actors in innovation, from the public sector, from the private sector, to academia and to civil society. And the objective is really to capitalize on our collective strengths and on the complementarity of the various actors. The EIE work program also complements very much what we want to achieve with the European Innovation Council and the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, but also the many initiatives at national, regional, and local level. So together, the objective really is to build a vibrant and interconnected innovation ecosystem spanning across Europe. The very particular feature of this program is also that we aim to bridge the innovation gap and to promote collaboration between moderate or emerging innovator regions and strong innovation leader regions. So by that, we really want to unlock the full potential of European innovation ecosystems. We are now entering the 4th year of implementation of the program, and I'm very happy to announce that so far we have financed more than 250 projects. It's an amount of more than 150 million euros, involving more than 600 partners that are based in more than 40 countries. So I hope this really shows the potential of the program to create a vibrant, innovative ecosystem throughout Europe. The focus of the actions has been so far on capacity building in innovation procurement, joint programs among innovation ecosystem actors, integrating social innovation actors, scaling up deep tech ecosystems, and expanding acceleration and entrepreneurial ecosystems. We also run a very important initiative at the moment, the Regional Innovation Valleys, with which we really aim to harness the full potential in the different EU territories to address societal challenges and the innovation divide in the EU. The objective of this initiative is to identify up to 100 regions committed to strengthening the coordination of the research and innovation investments and policies. We also have a number of other very interesting actions. I would like to mention, for example, Women Tech EU, where we are really committed to promote female leadership in deep tech and to ensure that women play a vital role in shaping the future of innovation in Europe. So in today's presentations, you will have a number of experts intervening to explain you the specificities of the 2 topics that are part of this information session. And we also have the privilege to have colleagues from the Commission with us. We have Yekaterina Novikova from DG R&I, Research and Innovation, who will give us more insights about the rationale and the policy perspectives of the EIE work program. And we also have our other R&I colleague, Fadila Bouganemi, who will tell us more about the links between European innovation ecosystems with the African Union, European Union Innovation Agenda, and the great work that is done in the Commission on this so far. So this information session is really there to help you in the preparation of your applications. So the colleagues today will try to provide you very, very clear and precise information Please also take the advantage of the question and answers session that will follow after the presentations, in case that things are not clear. Of course, you can always send us questions at any time. All the answers will be shared on the calls page in the FAQ session, where you can look them up. I would also like to point you to the call page, where we always offer a partner search feature, which can help you to find partners. There's also, of course, the possibility to reach out to projects that already have received funding to see whether networking possibilities exist. I also recommend to reach out to your national contact points or to check out our EIE Data Hub for possible cooperations. So I hope you will find this information session very fruitful and informative. And I wish you best of luck for your applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Birgit, for these nice words. And our next speaker is Ekaterina Novikova, who will provide us with more policy context on the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program. So, Ekaterina, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Gerald. Please confirm that you hear me well.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, let me start just by saying thank you very much for our colleagues in ESMEA for organizing this info session. I do believe it will be very useful for you as participants to learn more about these calls, and also please use this opportunity to ask your questions. I see the also Slido starts to be already filling up with the questions, and it is really the moment to clarify all unclear points that you have for the ongoing calls. And of course, we are doing it for you. So just we are expecting a lot of good applications, because the number of applications also show us whether there is an interest of such actions or not. I will start. I would like to give a little bit of policy context in my presentation and why it is important. It is important because, of course, you will read and reread the call text several times when you're preparing your applications. But also, let's not forget about the wider picture, about the wider policy context on what is happening now in the field of innovation policy in Europe, and what was taken into account in the preparing the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program. Next slide, please. And Birgit already did very good work in already putting some information and putting European innovation ecosystems in the contents of today's info session. So just a little bit visual slide to show you where European innovation ecosystem places itself. And as you see, it has a bit of connectedness between European Innovation Council and also European Institute of Innovation and Technology. Again, it's a work program designed specifically for connecting with different kinds of innovative actors, with all kinds of innovative actors within all different kinds of innovation ecosystems. And also, therefore, this position under Pillar 3 was also in the middle, and striving to ensure the links also with the Pillar 2 and widening work program and different parts of Horizon Europe. Next slide, please. Again, major objective, connected and efficient innovation ecosystem. And why do we need it? We need to support the scaling up of companies. I will come in my presentation later on the also importance of the facilitating the scaling up, particularly of the deep tech companies. But by building sufficient and efficient innovation ecosystem, we need also to ensure cooperation among different national, regional, and local innovation actors. And particularly, as been mentioned already before, particularly with a strong innovation leaders, innovation actors coming from the strong and leader innovation regions, and maybe less strong and still emerging innovative regions. What we want to achieve with this program, again, we want to see robust innovation ecosystem that is inclusive, that is efficient, that responds to current geopolitical challenges, that also have sufficiently robust value chains based on the smart specialization strategies, among others, in Europe. And again, with the objective to elevate scalability potential of business, also to promote and ensure that the business stays in Europe and the potentially high potential startups are not doing exits at the international markets outside Europe. And of course, to ensure connectedness, but at the same time ensure connectedness and openness to the global value chains, and also exchange with also international actors. And we'll come back to that a little bit later. Due to the objective of this work program is sufficiently small, I would say, comparing to other programs under Innovative Europe, Pillar 3. It has 527 million for 7 years period 21-27, and half of this budget goes to innovative SMEs. Next slide, please. And European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program 23-24, it has two big destinations. So both of the calls of the startup, both of actions, Startup Europe and also African EU Innovation Platform are under destination Connect. However, you also would like to take this opportunity to tell you that another destination that we have under European Innovation Work Program 23-24, it is destination Innovative SMEs. That is a partnership particularly focused on the internationalization of the SMEs. So if today we have participants at this info session working being a part of the startups or working with the startups, keep also Innovative SMEs partnership in mind, because they also have some open calls for helping SMEs to internationalize themselves. Next slide, please. And again, under Connect, we don't have only Startup Europe, we have other also very important calls. And again, all of them are with the objective to foster more efficient, inclusive, gender diverse and connected innovation ecosystems. We intend to include all key innovator players from across the quadruple helix, but again, it should be noted that in 23-24 work program, our flagship our flagship initiative is Regional Innovation Valleys, and here it was a strong emphasis on the regional innovation actors, particularly in this call. We're also very much looking for fostering synergies. We do have some co-fund actions. Startup Europe and EU African Innovation Platform are not one of them. These are CSA actions. But again, we are trying to ensure the synergies with different policies and with different also funding schemes across the work program. We also put a lot of emphasis on promoting innovation procurement in Europe, and particularly trying to push and boost the demand side, that we believe it has a lot of potential also for the startup growth and also uptake of innovative solutions in Europe. We do also try to connect individual innovators, as I said earlier, with other ecosystems, also outside Europe, and ensure its openness and cross-fertilization. Next slide, please. Here, I wanted to say how we are preparing the work program 23-24. And of course, again, important is for us the legal base that is laid out in the Horizon Europe, but very important development that has happened in 2022, it is adoption of the new European Innovation Agenda. Here we see European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program as one of the most important vehicles to put in place different new European Innovation Agenda actions. And hence, we believe the European Innovation Ecosystems, they support most of the flagships that are outlined in the new European Innovation Agenda, and we are very proud of it. If you want to learn more about the new European Innovation Agenda, there is communication published online, and also very soon on the 18th of March, there will be adoption. We expect the adoption, also publication of the report of the achievements of the new European Innovation Agenda, where you can find deliverables and the state of play on the different flagships, 5 flagships of the new European Innovation Agenda, and also specific actions. Of course, by preparing the work program 23-24, we also take into account the Horizon Europe strategic plan, and we actually support with European Innovation Ecosystem work program all 4 key strategic orientations of the strategic plan. We're looking for the synergies with other relevant programs, and also we're trying to ensure continuity between the previous work programs and also the lessons learned from the implementation. Next slide, please. So again, for the new European Innovation Agenda, just a few slides to explain you a little bit the main points and the main rationale of it. It has a very strong deep tech focus, deep tech innovation focus, but deep tech, it must be said, is defined quite broadly. Deep tech innovation is innovation that is rooted in science, technology, and engineering, combines advances in the digital, physical, and biological spheres, addresses societal challenges, and has a systemic transformative potential. Next slide, please. And again, why this new European Innovation Agenda has been launched? It's been adopted in 2022, really following the COVID. We were not really new about war of the Ukraine and the developments, unfortunate developments that it will take and the time that it will take. But it was aimed to improve Europe's competitiveness, to bring Europe also at the forefront of innovation, because in some areas we do lag behind comparing to our international partners, contribute to the green and digital transition, narrow the innovation divide, and also reinforce Europe's open strategic autonomy. Next slide, please. And of course, Europe, we do believe that we base we have a lot of strengths, and we have an assets on what we can capitalize also in the area of deep tech. And of course, it is a leadership in science, strong industrial base, increasingly vibrant startup ecosystem, ambitious framework condition conducive to innovation in an internal market, talent-based and stable institution and democratic societies. Next slide, please. And here, particularly, of course, we are talking about 2 calls, Startup Europe Now and EU African Innovation Platform. It is particularly important for building and supporting a vibrant startup ecosystem in Europe. We think that these 2 calls would have the major contribution here. Next slide, please. We also should not forget the challenges that we have in Europe, and one of them is like persistent innovation divide between and within the member states and the regions. We still fight with the insufficient transfer of new technologies from research to market. That, of course, is a problem not only for Europe, but it is across the world. Lack of risk finance for companies to scale up fast, and fragmentation of the internal market. We do also observe that business environment in Europe is quite risk averse, less conducive to innovation maybe. And of course, with our call, we also want to turn this into to have a positive spin and turn it into success, the current challenges. Next slide, please. And here on the slide, very briefly, we have 5 flagships, and I mentioned before, of the new European Innovation Agenda that actually support the challenges, that basically tries to address the challenges that I just outlined in the previous slide. Funding for deep tech scale-ups, and here again we think that Startup Europe supports these flagships and contributes to achievements of these flagships very much by helping the deep tech startups to grow and particularly in the digital field. In enabling deep tech innovation through experimentation spaces and public procurement, it is another flagship of the new European innovation agenda. And here, European innovation ecosystems are actually responding to that by two calls that just been now finalized, and the evaluation had been closed, on stimulating experimentation practices and also specialist advisory services to build capacities on innovation procurement. So we expect these projects to kick off in the second quarter of 2024. Yet again, another very important flagships of the new European innovation agenda on accelerating and strengthening innovation in European innovation ecosystems and addressing the innovation divide. Here again, the Regional Innovation Valleys initiative supported by the EIE program, but not only EIE, but also I3 program that is also managed by the executive agency. It actually would help to address the challenges that Europe face in that area. At the same time, we also, through the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program, help this flagship also by having a preparatory action for setting up joint programs among innovation ecosystem actors. And also, of course, African EU Innovation Platform, although not directly, but we believe could contribute to this flagship. As regards fostering, attracting, and retaining deep tech talents, particularly we should mention organization of the Women Tech EU scheme that we also proudly incorporated under European innovation ecosystems, and that supports deep tech startups women founders. And under the improving policy making tools, yet again, European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program has a role because its legal base was ensured the setup of the EIC Forum, European Innovation Council Forum, I would say innovation forum that unites member states and associated countries together to discuss and also propose the way forward of innovation policy in Europe. Next slide, please. And I think that was my last slide in this introduction. And I'm passing the floor to Gerald to continue with this session. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Ekaterina, for these very informative words on the Innovation Ecosystem Work Program main objectives and the political priorities. Our next speaker is Fadila Bouganemi, who will now introduce the policy context of the first topic. So the first topic is the African Union, European Union Innovation Platform. So do not forget to ask your questions in Slido, and we will look into this after the presentation. So, dear Fadila, the floor is yours. We cannot hear you, Fadila, and we cannot see you. Okay, we seem to have a slight connection issue.
Gerald, I could not hear you. I'm sorry.
Dear Fadila, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So first of all, I would like to thank you very much for having me today with you. It's a real pleasure, and congratulations to the colleagues of EASME for organizing this event. I also think that it's a very important event. I will now take you through the African Union, European Union Innovation Agenda. Which is indeed linked to which is bringing to the platform that my colleague Katalin will then present to you. A word before I get to the agenda itself, a short word on the policy, which is kind of the policy documents which are governing the cooperation with Africa in terms of research and innovation. There are two main documents, as you can see on the slide. One is the comprehensive strategy with Africa, the comprehensive EU strategy with Africa, and the other one is the global approach to research and innovation. For the details, the first one is a general document that has been adopted by our colleagues, I mean, by the Commission, but it's our colleagues of the External Action Services and our colleagues in the International Partnership, DG, who are in the leading seat. And when it comes to the global approach to research and innovation, it is us in DG Research and Innovation being in the leading seats. And in both documents, we actually reaffirm the importance of research and innovation cooperation with Africa. The aim being really to have to build on research and innovation for knowledge societies and prosperous knowledge societies in both continents. Within the global approach to research and innovation, we actually foresee, as I will tell you in a short moment, a special openness vis-à-vis the African continent and vis-à-vis African countries. Next slide, please. So, in terms of policy governance, so to say, for you to know that the cooperation between the EU and Africa is actually led, if I can put it like that, by an EU-Africa high-level group called the High-Level Policy Dialogue on Science, Technology and Innovation. To cut a long story short, this is a group of people gathering the two commissions, the European Commission and the African Union Commission, based in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia, gathering the member states on both sides and gathering a number of institutions which are dealing with research and innovation. It is the policy forum, if you would like, where we decide together about the joint priorities, about the joint topics that we want to work upon for the years to come in research and innovation. And as you can see on the slide, I'm sorry, the most important, so to say, level of governance has been the ministerial meeting of July 2020, where the African and European ministers of research and innovation have decided together that the four topics on which we should join our efforts are health research and public health, more specifically, the two transitions, the green and the digital transition, and the capacities for science. So these are, if you'd like, our main priorities decided jointly. Next slide, please. And now a word on the, let's say, last policy document, which has been adopted by the EU Africa ministerial and high-level policy dialogue before it. And this is the joint African Union, European Union innovation agenda. The aim, if one had to really say this aim in one sentence, the aim of this policy document is to foster the translation of R&I into tangible products, services, businesses, and decent jobs, both in Africa and in Europe. The idea is really to use, to put science, research and innovation, maybe the more important, at the heart of sustainable growth and decent jobs. So this document, this policy document, has been drafted through really a concerted Team Europe or Team Africa Europe approach. You know, the Team Europe approach that is the approach that we are following in all of the Commission departments, is an approach which is trying to gather the efforts and coordinate the efforts of both the Commission and the member states. And here we actually really worked with our African partners, gathering member states on both sides, commissions on both sides. So a document, there was, of course, a dialogue process involving a number of stakeholders that led to quite an important event, a stakeholder event, which took place in November 2022 in Nairobi, Kenya. And that led to the final version of this innovation agenda, which was adopted in July 2023. So again, I would like you to bear in mind that this policy document has been really established, building on the feedback and on the input which was really received by from our stakeholders. Next slide, please. I will now go a little bit quicker. I see that time flies. To come to the joint African Union, European Union agenda itself, it has 4 main objectives. The first one is to try and help translating the innovative capacities and achievements into tangible outputs. This is really at the heart of the agenda. Translate into tangible inputs. The second objective is to generate impact, and it's of course very much linked to the third objective. What we want to do is to try and strengthen people, try and strengthen the capacities, try and strengthen the communities. And of course, we want to learn. We think this is a mutual process of learning. And it is also, of course, for us, the opportunity to learn from our mistakes, to identify where the needs and the gaps are in order to mobilize all the instruments to answer these needs and these gaps. So, as you will see in the documents, because in the end of this presentation, you will see that there are a number of websites on which you can find, of course, the document in detail. But as you will see, we are identifying in the document short, medium, and long-term actions. Along these 3 priorities, the 4 priorities, I'm sorry, that you remember I was telling you about, that is to say public health, the 2 transitions, the green and the digital ones, and the need to strengthen the capacities. In addition to these, we also have some cross-cutting priorities and cross-cutting issues, which are again declined into short, medium, and long-term priorities to be implemented. Next slide, please. So there, what you can see is actually the list of the short-term actions, whether we are talking about the cross-cutting. I'm not going to list them all, of course, you can see them on this slide, but just to maybe highlight some of them. When it comes to the cross-cutting issues, we want, for example, to network the business, the government, the higher education, and the non-profit organizations together. All of, it is for us an absolute need. And it is something that so far we haven't been very good at. So thus the need to try and really strengthen this aspect of things together with our African partners. If you look into the 4 priorities which have been settled, as you remember, by the ministers in terms of short-term actions, let's take health, for example, you will see that we want, once again, to try and turn research and innovation into relevant products which are actually usable into the market. This is really, from the side of DG Research and Innovation, a field in which we feel that we have some weaknesses. And I'm not talking only about our partners in Africa, I'm talking about us in Europe. There is, at least here, it is our interpretation in DG Research and Innovation, we actually need to strengthen this link between research and the market and the needs of the locals, and this is what we want to try and do with this list of let's say short-term measures. You will find, you know, in the green transition, the need to identify climate resilience and adaptation practices, you know, as one of the short-term action. And why did we put such a need in the short-term action? This is also because, together with Africa, we have a number of partnerships that we developed for quite some time already. And in this field of green transition, we have some partnerships on which we can develop. And that led us to actually set together this list of short-term priorities, and the same goes for the mid-term and long-term priorities that we will see in a minute. Next slide, please. In terms of medium-term actions, again, I will simply highlight one or two of these actions, and of course the slides will be put at your disposal. But I just would like to highlight maybe here on this set of medium term action, the need to really ensure sustainability of research mobility program by trying to provide support to infrastructures for scholars returning to Africa, and returning to Africa in order to create jobs. So this is, of course, one of the actions which is not to be put in the 4 policy actions and policy priorities that we have. This is rather one of these cross-cutting priority that we need to have within the whole set of actions. Another important, even if they all are, of course, but let me highlight only some of them. Another important medium-term action that we would like to implement with this agenda is the promotion of joint master and doctoral degrees between African Union and European Union universities. We feel that the agenda can be a way for us to actually increase the mobility of researchers, but also of innovators. And this is something that our African partners are very much asking for. Again, if you look at the other priorities, if you take the green transition, for example, you will see that we have a midterm action priority on renewable energy and on climate change mitigation and adaptation. And here again, as I was telling you earlier on, what we are trying to do is also to build on these partnerships that we have developed. And in this field of green transition, we have developed a couple of years ago already, 2 important partnerships, one known as the FNSSA. Sorry, we love talking like that, as one of my colleagues said earlier on at the European Commission. But more seriously, FNSSA stands for Food and Nutrition Security Sustainable Agriculture Platform or Program. This is a very important partnership in the field of agronomic research and innovation, within which we actually support a number of EU African scientific consortia, and for quite some years. We also have another partnership, and so far we raised more than 250 million euros within the projects implemented by this partnership. We have another partnership called known as the CCSE for Climate Change and Sustainable Energy. This is, another of these partnerships that we are developing with Africa for already a couple of years, which led us to be able to consider that the development in Africa of renewable energy measures is a possibility to be put within the medium-term actions in our agenda. Next slide, please. And I'm going to go a bit quicker. Within the long-term actions, because of course some of these actions in the agenda are long-term, they go much further actually than the agenda itself. And of course, the main cross-cutting issue is to promote research, development and innovation with a special focus on youth, on vulnerable groups and on women. This is for us, again, an issue which is cross-cutting to all of the four priorities, and in which we kind of hope to reach by using all the short, medium, and long-term actions of this agenda. So, if you look a little bit more into the details of these long-term action. What we want to do in the field of public health is to design and implement new methods and tools to monitor, prevent, and counteract future health threats. I do not have to recall anybody about the recent pandemic, and of course, we have to learn together from that and try and be able to react in a more efficient way in the future. Within the green transition, again, you will find a reference to the two partnerships, the FNSSA and the CCSE, that I was telling you about a moment ago. The aim is really to try and go much further in terms of improving the agricultural innovation ecosystems, to strengthen the capacities of the actors on both sides to really co-design and co-invest in order to scale up together and be able to make this link between research and the market together. And I would like also to highlight maybe a point on the capacities for science. The aim is really to bridge research and innovation in fostering the emergence of new or of strengthen the existing centers of excellence. And this is very important because this leads me to the important work that we are doing together with DG INTPA. I'm working here from DG Research and Innovation, but I have to say that, next slide, please. I have to say that the innovation agenda is also a part of the Global Gateway, which is led by our colleagues in DG International Partnerships, and we are really working hands in hands. We are also working hands in hands to identify. We worked hand in hands to identify the needs and the gaps. There was really an in-depth analysis of the gaps in terms of innovation ecosystems, in terms of innovation management, in terms of exchange of knowledge. The access to finance remains a real challenge in both continents, and of course there is a need to strengthen the human capacities. Next slide, please. So I would like you to think about the innovation agenda as a policy document, because this is what it is. It is really a policy document, a policy structure, which is very much multi-sectorial and which is very much based on multidisciplinarity. It actually involves African Union, European Union institutions. And when I say institutions, I mean both commissions, innovation and research institutions on both sides, member states, of course, universities and higher education institutions, public but also private bodies. They're extremely important. We do need to involve much more the private sector. They have been involved into the development of the innovation agenda, and we need them to be very much involved into the deployment of the agenda. And of course, I'm not forgetting the civil societies, organizations and NGOs. That's extremely important. They have been involved as well. They have been involved within the consultation of the stakeholders that we have run, and they have to be kept involved in the implementation, of course, of the agenda. Next slide, please. So as I was telling you, the agenda is really, let's say, collective effort. And how to make it happen by mobilizing all these actors that I was telling you about and all of the instruments. This is what the innovation agenda is about. Of course, starting with our own instrument in DG Research and Innovation. And this is the framework program for technological, for research and technological development, which is also known as Horizon Europe. And we have, of course, used Horizon Europe to develop short, mid-term and long-term actions towards all the research programs of Horizon. But we have also mobilized other platforms, such as the Global Health EDCTP, joint undertaking. Sorry for the slang. For the ones of you who do not know, EDCTP stands for European and Developing Countries Clinical Trial Partnership. This is a major platform run by EU and African institutions together, which is actually mobilizing hundreds of millions of funds for a couple of years already, and which we will, of course, continue developing in the future. As I was mentioning, it is a European Commission collective effort. It is not only the effort of DG Research, and we are working hands in hands with our friends in DG INTPA. They are the ones who are in the leading seat for the very important document known as the Global Gateway. And the Global Gateway has actually, in its African package, has actually the innovation agenda as one of its flagships. I see, Gérald, that you're appearing. I think that my time is coming to an end. Next slide, please. I will go much faster by now. So just a word on the African initiative to let you know that based on this agenda and on the whole of the cooperation we are running with Africa, we actually have currently calls which are open for the participation of African innovators and scientists. And as long as a proposal passes the selection phase and is selected, the African participant is automatically funded. So I think it is important for you to know. Next slide, please. Next, I will pass into this next, and I will just go maybe to the information to be given to you, and just to draw your attention on the importance of this African Union, European Union innovation interface. Next slide, please. And on next slide, please. Yes, on the interface and on the, let's say, on the information which is given on the end of these slides. Please go there, and lots of information that I don't have the time to develop for now are deployed and are given in details there. And in any case, I'm of course staying with you for the questions answers session. Many thanks, and back to you, Gérald.
Thanks a lot, Fadila. Thank you very much for this very comprehensive and relevant presentation for this topic on African Union, European Union Innovation Platform. Just to let also the participants know that the slides will be made available. They will be published on our website. So don't worry, you can still go through the slides in details later on. So now is the time, I think, for Katalin to present the topic itself, because I think it's super important to really look at the specificities of this topic that we are looking for. And you can still ask your questions using the Slido platform, and we will address them right after the presentation of Katalin. Katalin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gérald, and good morning to everyone. I'm very happy that we actually had this presentation of Fadila beforehand, because I think it shows the richness of the activities done by DGRTD when it comes to the collaboration with the African Union. Basically, in my opinion, this presentation was extremely useful when it comes to the implementation of this future project, which we will fund under the current topic. So next slide gives you more information about the call itself, so which is a which has been open actually on the 11th of January, and it will close on the 25th of April. So you still have more or less 2 months to apply, and the total indicative budget of of this specific topic is 2.5 million euros indicatively. So that's the maximum contribution we would normally allow. So we expect to sign only one grant, so one project. So we feel that there will be a high competition. So please make the most of the application template, so which you'll find actually on the funding and tenders portal. It's a standard coordinated support action. It's a CSA template that you have to fill in of around 30 pages maximum. When it comes to the estimated project duration, we say that the project should ideally align with the implementation timeframe of the short-term actions that have been presented by Fadila before, of the AU Innovation Agenda. So this means that we foresee a project that will last at least until 2026. So have this in mind. And then something very important when it comes to the eligibility criteria for the call, for this specific call, is related to the consortium. If you have noticed it already in the previous presentations, we very much value the power of mixed consortia, of mixed type of players. So that's why we would require at least 4 entities to compose this consortium, which will have to be a mix of on one side, of course, the EU member states and the associated countries to Horizon Europe. So we would need at least 1 entity coming from these countries, and we also require at least 3 independent legal entities from different African Union member states to meet the legal requirements. So have this in mind as a starting point when it comes to building up your consortium. And since this is a CSA, it's it's allowed through the call text that the all African Union member states entities, legal entities that are established there can participate in the coordinated and support action as a beneficiary or affiliated entity, whereas in research and innovation actions normally it's not allowed. Very important, the target group of this call. We focus very much on innovation of most of the innovation ecosystem stakeholders. As you have already heard, we at the European Innovation Ecosystems team, we very much value the power of these players. We want to connect them more all together. So that's why we are looking for projects which are basically run by networks of startups, innovators, incubators, accelerators, and of course entities that deal with all type of innovation development, like also coming from the academia or the research and technology organizations, to name just a few. And of course, you have to always keep in mind from the starting point. We have the European Innovation Ecosystems on one hand, and also the AU Innovation Agenda, which was just presented. So, which focuses a lot on the collaboration with the African Union entities. So we want to see these exchanges between the EU entities and the African ones. So we want to make the most of this collaboration, and also to making the most of the activities that bring that use research and innovation throughout the project implementation in establishing, let's say, better products, better services, and also collaborations with these stakeholders. So as I said, we are looking for a mix of EU African Union innovation stakeholders that can be higher education establishments, public and private research entities, and of course we very much want to have internet investors, incubators, accelerators, and also representatives such as the European Innovation and Technology EIT, the EIT KICS, the knowledge and innovation communities that they have, as well as technology transfer and capacity building organizations. On the next slide, there is just I won't go much into detail because Fadila has already mentioned most of the details about the short-term actions. But keep in mind that this platform that we are looking for, this project, has to respond to these short-term actions. So in practical, to propose activities that will basically support the implementation of the agenda in this regard, on the cross-cutting issues, on the innovation and technology capacity for sciences, and so on. So always design your project keeping in mind all these points. On the next slide, we will focus on what the project should, what you as applicants should focus on when delivering this innovation platform. First of all, this will be a convening platform and a forum of discussion between the EU and African Union innovation stakeholders, and think about ways of planning and ways of achieving basically the objectives of the agenda, of the innovation agenda, through this platform and the discussions planned throughout the implementation of the project. So we also want to foster links and networks among these stakeholders across different value chains. So this means that we would like to see how some ideas can basically be boosted, can become, let's say, at the end of the day, innovations, products, services, with the help of the players that I have just mentioned. So with the help of the innovation ecosystem stakeholders. Also very important, don't forget the citizens. Try to involve them in your activities. Try to make the most of their creative and collective intelligence. So involve them as much as possible. Don't forget that we value the gender equality, also the participation of youths. So think about the activities that can support the innovation agenda in this regard. Of course, I've already mentioned the one of the objectives is to strengthen the coordination between the innovation programs of the African Union and the European Union, and the various institutions doing it, and that's why this platform will basically ensure the knowledge transfer between these entities, and will support them in building better capacities and provide more opportunities for collaboration in the future. Basically, the project will also facilitate the organization of annual or biannual meetings with these key innovation stakeholders from the two macro regions. So don't forget what Fadila has just mentioned, that there have already been events organized in previous projects funded under various African related calls of the EG research and innovation. So always keep in mind the past. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. We are looking for a multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral approach, but we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to build on what has been delivered so far, so that we create a good momentum for the implementation of the agenda. Also, another point which is mentioned in the call text is related to the de-risking support of the Eureka network SMEs that have previously received the viability assessment projects support through the InnoWide calls. So the project will be required to support this type of companies throughout the implementation. And I think with this, we can already wrap up my presentation. Yes, thank you so much for this. And Cheryl, I think we are open for the question and answers now.
Absolutely.
Fadila. Yes.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Fadila and Katalin. I think now we can go to the questions. So you can still ask your questions using Slido. You have here the QR code. And maybe if we switch now to the Slido, we can address the questions. Okay. So if we select the first question. First question is, will there be some kind of a networking session to get contacts between partners? Katalin, maybe I'll let you start on this one.
Well, for all the calls, we usually, unfortunately, we are organizing this info session remotely. So maybe if we were to organize it on site, you have had more chances to find different partners. But of course, under the funding and tenders portal call page, you can find a category that supports you in finding different partners that are interested in collaborating. You can also refer to the European Innovation Ecosystem Data Hub, which is a portal that we have under the ESMEA website that highlights and gathers all the projects that we are funding under the European Innovation Ecosystem. So if you are looking for partners and you want to be inspired by the projects that we are selecting, please go there on the ESMEA website. You will find under the European Innovation Ecosystems the Data Hub. And of course, if Fadila would like to complement, perhaps there are also some other ways via the different platforms of the GRTD. Feel free to intervene, Fadila.
Thank you, Katalin. And indeed, Gerald, if I may, just to complement the information given by Katalin, you will find at the end of the slides that I presented to you a reference to the Euraccess platform, which is a platform that we are financing to actually display the information to the African stakeholders. It's called Euraccess Africa. And to also organize some partnering, networking sessions. So please, feel free to go and contact them. They will be glad to provide you with all the information.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Fadila and Catherine, for your answers. If we go to the next question, please. So could you please clarify the eligibility criteria of the consortium for the call, the African Union, European Union Innovation Platform? So
sure.
Yeah.
I will just remind what I've just shared beforehand. Before we are looking for a consortium that that consists of a mix of EU and African Union innovation stakeholders. They have to be at least 4 legal entities. One which has to be at least one has to be established in a EU member state or associated country to Horizon Europe, and at least 3 independent legal entities from different African Union member states have to be present. So these are the minimum eligibility criteria for the consortium.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please. How should the term platform be interpreted? Is it a virtual online place where stakeholders should collaborate? Is it something else? Please clarify. Maybe we can start with you, Fadila, and then we can complement with Catherine. Or as you wish. If you want to start, Catherine, that's also fine.
Yeah, well, the call does not provide specific information in this regard. So, but what you have to also to notice is that one of the requirements of in the call text refers to organization of meetings on a biannual, let's say, basis. So think about also maybe some on-site events. But if Fadila has more information in this regard, feel free to intervene, Fadila.
I'm sorry, I seem to have some connection problems. Yeah, it's exactly what you said, Katalin. Indeed, some events are foreseen, and I think that we very much go towards, some sort of hybrid arrangement. So, but yeah, it should actually be both. I think, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Not only virtual.
Next question is, what is the expected duration of a project?
It was just mentioned, it should align basically with the time frame of the implementation of the short-term actions. So this means that the project has to normally take place at least until end of 2026. So have this in mind.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How broad should a consortium be? Can a consortium with a specific thematic focus be relevant for the call? Maybe I can direct it to Fadila.
I mean, the consortia, you have a minimum of participation, of course, which is minimum number of, because we are talking about EU-AU partnerships. So you have a minimum number of European member states and a minimum number of African countries, which is required. But some of them are quite, pretty small, like 4 partners on one hand and 4 partners on the other hand. And some of them are much, much larger. Really depends on the number of priorities that are going to be tackled and on the length, which is needed for that. So it very much depends. There is no rule.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next question. What do you mean by the convening platform? How do you imagine it? I think this was slightly addressed in a previous question, but maybe I can let you complement, Catherine or Fadila, if you want to say something.
Well, here I would be quite cautious in answering because it's not me who would imagine this convening platform. At the end of the day, it's the applicants who will have to design the way this platform will look like. But always have in mind that we value, as I said, the interconnections between the various type of stakeholders, which can be quite different and come from various, let's say, fields of activities. So don't forget what we've just presented under the European Innovation Ecosystems and the agenda itself.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Can an African university be coordinator of a proposal? Maybe I can direct it to you, Fadila?
Sure. In the majority of the cases, I'm afraid no. An African university cannot be a coordinator in a proposal, with one exception, and the exception is Tunisia. And this is because Tunisia is associated to the framework program, meaning that it has exactly the same duties and then the same rights as the European member states. But apart from that exception, no, the coordination cannot be led by an African university or institution.
Thank you, Fadila. Next question, please. How hard is the 2.5 million euro budget limit? It seems that this is an ambitious and demanding call requiring more than 2.5 million euros for its implementation, also duration. So I don't know, Catherine, maybe?
Well, the call text is quite clear. This is an indicative budget, but this does not mean that we have the best flexibility possible. Think about staying in the range of 2.5 million euros, first of all. So don't propose projects which go way beyond that amount. Stay in the 2.5 limit, and also don't forget that you will be competing against projects that might do the same. So this means that the evaluators will look, of course, at the way the resources are allocated to the project, and of course they might have a different opinion when it comes to evaluating, let's say, projects that, I don't know, propose projects of 5 million euros, which is not in that, which does not land in this area of 2.5 million euros.
Okay, thank you. Which role will play the previous project Enrich Africa in how far one has to build on this? So maybe Fadila, if you can reply to this one.
Thank you, Gérald. The Enrich Africa is indeed a project on EU-Africa innovation, which we, the DG Research has been supporting and is still supporting. It hasn't completely finished yet. And of course, we expect proposals to also build on what has been done before. The idea being not to, start things from the scratch as if other important work had not been implemented before. So of course, it is always an added value to actually build on previous work that has been implemented and supported so far. Our, let's say, ultimate aim being the sustainability. So yeah, please do so.
Okay, thank you, Fadila. Next question, please. Does a project partner need to formally approve the joint AU-EU innovation agenda? I will keep it with you, Fadila, if you agree.
No, there is no need. Thank you. Yes, no, there is no need to formally approve the joint EU innovation agenda when you want to be a project partner, of course. Huh? The way we operate are open calls for proposals. So you have calls for proposals, they are published, the scientists and the innovators get organized, and they apply to this cause in a very transparent and competitive way. And these projects do not have to receive the approval of any kind of, governance body or government or anything. Yeah? No, the agenda is really, as I said, a policy document, which is trying to kind of coordinate and gather all the efforts together. But if a partner wants to apply to a call, he or she can apply to a call.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please. It is 100% mandatory to have 3 members from different African Union states, or can we include fewer if they are bigger or represent multiple organizations? Catherine, please.
I think the answer is quite clear. No, it's 100% mandatory. So to have 3 members from different African Union member states. So the question to your answer is yes, it's 100% mandatory. So you can't include fewer entities.
Okay. Next question, please. Will there be broader and more specified focus points regarding AU-EU calls in the future, divided into multiple calls with different objectives? So maybe a question is more for Fadila, I think.
Yes, there will be. We have published in the second round of calls of Horizon Europe, the so-called Africa Initiative #2, and we are currently working on a third African initiative. So what is this? It's a set of calls, like the second Africa Initiative, for example. We had more than 30 calls for proposals with an overall budget of 300 million euros, addressing a wide variety of scientific issues. So we will, of course, focus on other priorities that have been jointly decided together. This is currently in the pipeline.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's take another couple of questions. So the next question is, I heard that this call being a CSA call, all AU members could be coordinators, not only Tunisia. Did I understand something wrong? So maybe Fadila?
Including in the consolidated support actions, I'm afraid, the African Union members cannot be coordinators. It is something that a number of us are working on improving in the future, but the situation is unfortunately this one, and this also goes for these countries that have a cooperation agreement, because Tunisia has an association agreement, but other countries such as Algeria, South Africa have a cooperation agreement with the EU, and including for this one, they cannot coordinate. In the past, there was a possibility in the so-called INCO program, International Cooperation Program, in which indeed the third country partners, including the African ones, could, in a very limited and specific number of priorities, coordinate projects. But this is not the case anymore.
Okay, thanks a lot. Next question, please. If only one proposal is granted, it is hard to imagine a proposal which includes all the themes proposed as health and green. Or am I wrong? So in terms of thematics, how many thematics can be in this proposal?
Shall I, Gerald?
Yes, please.
Thank you. No, we, of course, and sorry for the misunderstanding, of course, the aim is not to address all the themes, listed under the public health priority or listed under the green transition challenge. It would be a huge proposal and probably very costly. No, the aim is, so this was to inform you, but the aim for you is of course to go see the calls, how they are defined, and really, tackle some of these specific issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, please. Can we bundle the annual biannual meeting with existing events in Africa, Europe? I think maybe Fadila, if you can help us on this one.
Sure, I think it's always very good to bundle events together. We always trying it. So if there is an event that we're organizing, and it's always very interesting to have another meeting organized in back-to-back, certainly.
Thank you. Next question. Can existing platforms be used if they are configured to work collaboratively? There are already hundreds of such platforms on the market. Okay, maybe Katalin.
Well, what I would say here is that, first of all, we don't want to reinvent much the wheel, and I wouldn't focus the main activities of this project to develop, let's say, a technical platform. Let's put it this way. So, as you said, there are hundreds of platforms on the market, so perhaps you can just use a one which is available, so that you focus more on the collaboration and discussions and the other activities that are required by the call. We are not, when we refer to a platform, we are not necessarily requiring as it was said before, it will be also a way, or this project will be about meeting the other stakeholders, so provide the means of meeting, of collaborating in person. So don't think very strictly that this is just a platform. So perhaps this also helps. Fadila, would you like to add something here, maybe in terms of the previous platforms which were used, or is that enough?
I think it's enough, Katalin.
Okay,
it's very much along what you said.
Okay, thanks a lot. Next question. Should the Enrich consortium be involved at least partially? Maybe Fadila?
If I would recommend to the applicants to indeed build on what has been done before, also to show that one is not starting from the scratch. It is not a guarantee for you to be selected to involve consortia who have been, so to say, supported in the past. It can be an added value, but it can also not be. Of course, we are not evaluating the proposals. This, it is not us bureaucrats in Brussels who are evaluating the proposals. We are getting that done by the scientists' peers. I mean, it's researchers, innovators who are evaluating proposals in a very independent way. And part of the evaluation criteria are on the consortium and the way it is composed. And of course, it will be up to the evaluators to see if, this group is of an added value, having in mind what has been done in the past.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's take, I suggest, a last couple of questions for good this time, because we have another topic to present. And just be reassured that the rest of the questions will be addressed in the frequently asked questions. So we will also address the other questions and you will have access to the answers. But let's take a couple more and we will stop there if you all agree. So the next question is, can we get continuous support with the application?
Yeah.
Maybe Katalin?
It depends what type of support is required, but if you have questions about the call itself and what's written in the work program, we will also have a slide at the end of the today's presentation about the research inquiry service that you will have to direct the questions through. So if you like to ask questions about these specific calls, you will have to use that specific link, which will be shared in the slides. Of course, this is an open call, so we have to ensure the fairness of the process and also the level playing field. So if it is about support in, I don't know, in writing the application, don't expect us to do that. As simple as that. It's up to the applicant to provide a good proposal based on also on the requirements of the template that you'll see in the funding and tenders portal.
Thank you. And last question for this Q&A session. What kind of course categories are eligible? Can you provide examples? So maybe Katalin, I think.
I would say what is not actually eligible, like the financial support to third parties. So this call does not support financial support to third parties. So from the beginning, from the start, this is not an ineligible cost. So everything which is related to personal costs, to organizing different type of programs, activities can be eligible. Subcontracting as well. Keep in mind that this has the subcontracting rules are very strict. Always refer to the model grant agreement in this regard and to the Horizon Europe rules when it comes to subcontracting. And it can be anything like, I don't know, supporting some companies in attending some events. It's just an example. But yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
pretty much it.
Thanks a lot. I think we'll close here, and I think we'll announce some other elements anyway during the presentation. So thanks a lot, Fadila, for your presence, your insight. That's very useful. And I hope all success to the applicants with all the informative information you have provided to them. All right, so if we go now to the next topic, which is about Startup Europe, the next speaker is Ekaterina, and she will provide the policy context of this particular topic. Please, Ekaterina, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think I found myself the previous session very informative, very useful. Also, I hope some things had been clarified for you, particular for the previous action on EU African Innovation Platform. Just maybe to complement on the last question on the support that you can have, I think we also need to mention the national contact points that you have in every member state. There also could help you with some advice and tips and also in preparing your applications. The list of NCP points, we have a joint NCP point for EIC and EIE, and they can be easily found online in the internet for every member state. And with no further ado, I will go to another very interesting topic, Startup Europe, that we are very happy to have under European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program, because as you see on the slide, it has started already quite some time ago, this initiative. It was launched in 2011 by DG Connect, but again, with the same ambition to strengthen networking opportunities for deep tech scale-ups and ecosystem builders to accelerate the growth of the European startup scene. What I haven't mentioned, European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program is a new program. It's a novelty under Horizon Europe. And that's why in some of the topics, we cannot really see and measure the results that we have at the moment, because many of the actions are just starting. or just like really in the middle of implementation in the best case scenario. But here for Startup Europe, we do have already results. Under Horizon 2020, Startup Europe projects provided acceleration services to 770 selected startups covering 39 countries. There were more than 25 projects, EU projects, that were supporting more than 60 local ecosystems and activities aimed in enabling startup creation and growth. And between connections of startups with investors, accelerated universities, this label Startup Europe became already very well known in Europe. Next slide, please. Of course, again, looking a little bit back, what has happened before the new European Innovation Agenda that I have presented to you this morning. Of course, another important policy document, SME strategy, was published in 2022 by the Commission. And here again, you could see that gradually these points on the startup ecosystems for the need to support the startups, scale-ups had been like continuously recognized, and continuously attempts had been strengthened by the Commission policies. And here again, the aim of most attractive startup and scale-up continent was introduced through the Startup Nation Standard, have basically provided some actions and some points that it was believed would support the startup expansion, startup creation, startup growth in the European Union. Next slide, please. If you look on the recent years on the Startup Europe in 21-24, it has been in 21-22, it has been supported by the European Innovation Council work program. Again, the work program, as you have seen on the slide, it is a part of Innovative Europe. And again, we are working very closely with this program together. And sometimes, you know, how to say, we also make a decision who would support the topics based on the specificity. In 21-22, 6 million every year had been allocated for this topic, and in 24, under EIE, we had made decision to allocate 12 million. That is, how to say, again, it is not doubling of this initiative, because this initiative will cover more years than it was in EIC and EIE, in the EIC work programs previously, but we are very happy to support it this year. Next slide, please. And again, why again the decision was made to put this topic under European Innovation Ecosystems, and why we are so happy to have it on board, because we do believe that it really reinforces the actions of new European Innovation Agenda. It has a direct contribution to the flagship one of the new European Innovation Agenda, particularly on the scaling up of deep tech innovations. And that's why we really would like to pursue this topic, and particularly supporting deep tech innovations in the area of digital and also green and climate aspects. Next slide, please. And here I would like to just show you few recent examples that has come up, the successful projects that has come up through the previous calls. Again, this information can be found under the European Innovation Ecosystem dashboard. You can have more information on the websites of these projects and also on the dashboards. And you can see, I think this is important to see what are the most successful projects that had been awarded in the previous time. You also can see how they support the startups with this equity-free funding, with smaller funding, not a big funding tickets often. Because here again, Katalin will go in more details, but here indeed we are talking about the projects with that envisage financial support to the third parties. And of course, what is important for me to emphasize from the policy perspective, we are very much looking again for collaboration between strong innovators and leader innovators, regions and countries, and moderate and emerging innovators, innovative regions and countries. Next slide, please. And yet again, it's the first project that had been awarded recently with Ireland as a coordinator. And again, just an example of the project, how it could be, how it was seen. Again, as you see, very much emphasis on the deep tech startups, on the widening, on the supporting less developed innovation ecosystems, women-led, and again, 5 key areas in that case, not limited to this case. You need to look at the call text, of course, to decide on your specifics, but in this case, it is focusing on manufacturing and circular economy, agri-tech, health tech and biotech, smart city sustainability, data and AI. And again, if you see the possibilities, how the companies are supported, it's relatively small grants, but that help companies to scale up and grow. Next slide, please. And again, I think here I stop my side of my part of presentation. I giving it forward to Katalin to go into details of the call text, and of course we are going jointly to address your questions under Slido at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ekaterina. So good morning to everybody. Again, Startup Europe, the new call under the European Innovation Ecosystems has been published and open for submission as of 11th of January, and it will close on the 25th of April at 17 hours Brussels time. We have a total indicative budget of 12 million euros, and the expected EU contribution for each project is around 1.5 million euros, which leaves us to the point about the expected grants to be signed, so expected projects to be signed. We are looking to fund around 6 to 8 projects, depending on how much at the end of the day these proposals will request, and we will have a better overview after the on how much we can fund after the evaluation results are known. When it comes to the estimated project duration, we can only say that previous projects which were supported by the Startup Europe initiative had a duration of around 24 months. But of course, this does not preclude different projects with different duration. Like we have an example of a project run for 30 months, if I'm not mistaken, through a previous call. A very important additional eligibility criteria is related to the consortia members. So don't forget that the eligible countries are the European Union member states, and as well as the associated countries of Horizon Europe. And an important additional eligibility criteria is the fact that at least half of the beneficiaries in the consortium has to come or has to be established in a moderate or emerging innovator country or region as per the regional innovation scoreboard. So check on DG Research and Innovation's website, the latest version of the regional innovation scoreboard, and you can see there whether your entity organization comes from a moderate or emerging innovator country or not, or region. If your country is not listed or your region is not listed, please refer to the Global Innovation Index, and regions or countries which are linked, which are ranked as of place 25, they can be considered moderate or emerging innovator countries or regions. I'm spending a little bit more time here just because there is a tiny typo, tiny error in the call text that refers to modest innovator countries or regions. You will also see it in the FAQs, which are published on the calls page, that any kind of reference to the modest innovator countries or regions, which is an old term used for the Regional Innovation Scoreboard, has to be interpreted as moderate. So we are looking for at least half of the beneficiaries coming from moderate or emerging innovator countries or regions. Very important. Also on the call page under the funding and tenders portal, you will find you will discover two templates that you will have to fill in. First is this the standard CSA form, the coordination and support action template, of around 30 pages in length, and of maximum 30 pages in length actually, and an annex about financial support to third parties, but we will talk about that more in detail. That's not a mandatory document, depending on the way you wish to implement the project further. So we will focus on financial support to third parties later on in the call, in the presentation. Very important about the target of this call. So please, you have to be aware that this call is not directly directed entirely to startups as consortium members necessarily. So we are not looking to fund startups at this moment. They are the end beneficiaries of the project. So we are looking actually to for consortia that are built by startup ecosystem builders. So innovation ecosystem stakeholders that have that organize different activities, different programs, initiatives that support the growth of startups in Europe. So they can be, of course, startup associations, universities, incubators, accelerators, business angels, different type of investment companies, national innovation agencies, and so on. So it's a very broad target group. But what I wanted to highlight is that although the name of the initiative is Startup Europe, it's not like we are funding directly a startup. So this is done by the intermediaries like you, who will basically perform the activities under the project throughout the future years. When it comes to the expected outcomes of this call, we would like to see an increase in terms of the market footprint of European startups in the strategic digital technologies and deep technologies. And we have here a list of fields like artificial intelligence, advanced computing, cybersecurity, blockchain, IoT, metaverse, green tech, agri-tech, or fintech, to name just a few. We would like to see through these projects that the startups that will work with you are come also from the EIT, from the European Innovation Council as well, or the Seal of Excellence holders community. And last but not least, we like to see them much more connected to the ecosystems that you are representing, to the communities of innovators and that can support these companies in going towards new markets, for instance. We would like to see projects that support and facilitate the matchmaking of digital and deep tech startups with investment opportunities in collaboration also with other EU-funded instruments like the EIC, like the ones coming from the EIT and their KICs, as well as the InvestEU or Digital Europe program, and of course the Women Tech EU program that we are implementing and monitoring at ACEMIA. On the next slide, we will focus on the scope of the project. So we want to fund projects that will connect basically the digital and deep technology startup ecosystems, and this project will support the cross-border acceleration services dedicated to the startups that you will select and work with. which have to have a to demonstrate traction. So this can be, in other words, they have to have a market product fit, or at least some funding like seed round raised. Very important, since we have an additional eligibility criterion related to the moderate and emerging innovator countries or regions. This is also in scope of the project to provide specific attention to the ecosystems, to the players coming from these areas, to be connected through your activities when you implement the project. Next slide, please. When it comes to the startups that you'll work with, there is this prioritization required by the call text. So the startups can have either achieved already a market product fit, or have raised at least a round of financing, seed or later. And we are looking for projects that support startups established in moderate or emerging innovator countries or regions, and or women-led startups. So here you can choose whether you would like to focus also on women-led startups, not necessarily on the players coming from the second group. Next slide, please. As mentioned, the cross-border acceleration services are open to. Basically, they are open to all European startups demonstrating traction, but you can also involve, and it's also something we would like to suggest, that you look at the scale-ups that were identified previously by different project initiatives under Horizon Europe, for instance, under the EIC Scale Up 100 action, or the other EIT supported companies, or the ones coming from the Digital Europe program. And also, you could also look at the startups that are funded by the national programs, and in particular the ones who are supported through the plug-in certified program of the EIC, of the European Innovation Council. And for that, you can find more information under the EIC Work Program 2022. Next slide, please. Very important, as per the call text, the project should also actively engage with the activities of the European Startup Nations Alliance. This is a body that monitors the implementation of the Startup Nation standards, which is a policy initiative of DG Connect and also of the member states, through which the member states would like to improve the framework conditions of startups in Europe by setting up 8 standards of excellence. And this ESNA, the European Startup Nations Alliance, is in charge of monitoring the way these standards are implemented. Another special attention that we'll have to highlight is related to the opportunities that you could provide to the companies that you are supporting, the startups and scale-ups, in accessing innovation procurement opportunities, be them from public or corporate procurers. And as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, this action can be implemented through financial support to third parties. So in this case, if you decide to use this implementation scheme, first of all, you can only provide grants. So the financial support can have the form of a grant, which has to be for each third party selected, also the startups, maximum 60,000 euros. So that's the maximum requirement as per the financial regulation. And if you are using this, if you opt for this implementation scheme, which is, as I mentioned, not non-compulsory, you must allocate at least 60% of the total proposed budget of the project towards this type of implementation modality. So 60%, very important, an important percentage when it comes to the budget allocation. Next slide, please. A few more important points about the financial support of third parties implementation scheme. As I said, there is a annex available to you in the call in the portal on the calls page. So if you choose to use financial support of third parties, please also you have to fill in first and also to upload this annex. I can tell you that experts like to see very developed activities and also points about the way you plan to implement financial support to third parties schemes. So please make the most of this annex. Don't be, let's say, not don't be superficial in filling it in. So this annex basically focuses on a few points that you will have to develop further. First of all, is about the objectives and the results that you like to achieve, to obtain through the if the project will use financial support of third parties. Then you'll have to highlight some specific information, like the maximum amount of financial support for each party that you have to give. So this is already known, 60,000 euros. But if you want to provide less, that's still acceptable. So you'll have to provide information on about the criteria of how you calculated that, and also focus your document on the types of activities that are qualified for the startups to use to spend the financial support on, based on the list that you will identify in the annex, and also, of course, the persons and categories of the persons that may receive this financial support. We know them, but it's written in the call, but you please elaborate on that. And of course, very important, the criteria for giving this financial support is required to be highlighted in your presentation. Why? Because very important, when you run financial support to third parties calls, you have to apply the modality of how the commission or the agencies are doing when it comes to selecting proposals like you. So you have to ensure fairness, fairness of the process of the selection process. Also to provide the same standards like transparency and avoid conflict of interest, potential conflicts of interest, like we also do when it comes to evaluating the proposals that come from you. And with this, I would like to end my presentation. And if I'm not mistaken, the next slide is just an ending one. Yes.
Thank you very much
for your attention.
Thank you. So I think we can go to the Q&A in Slido. And I see that we have already 46 questions. So I'm not sure we can reply to all of them. So at least we will reply to the most voted ones. And obviously the rest will be addressed in the FAQ. But let's see what are the most voted questions first. So if we can have the Slido screen.
One moment, please.
Thank you. So the first question. In Startup Europe topic, the program plans 1.5 million euros per project with 6 projects approved. With a total budget of 12 million allocated, doesn't this leave 3 million euros unallocated?
Yeah, so I can take this question already. It's something that I've already mentioned. Indeed, we are expecting to sign around 6 to 8 grants. So given these details, we can go even further up to 8 projects. But of course, everything will be decided after the evaluation. So depending on how much all the proposers will request for the projects. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please. How many years is the suggested duration for this project?
I can also take this one. It's as I said, we rely on the past and the history of the initiative here. And what I can tell you here is that on average, a project is of around the applicants decided to dedicate around to request around 24 months for the project duration. So on average 24 months would be expected.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What is the exact definition of a deep tech startup? Firms that operate in deep tech sectors that are less than 10 years old and received at least seed round.
Yeah, Katerina, would you like to cover the deep tech point?
Of course,
Because I think you've mentioned it in your slides already.
well, with pleasure. But again, for the legal definition of the startups doesn't have a legal definition backed up by financial regulations. For the deep tech innovation, you will find the definition in the work program 23-24. If you look on the footnotes on the Destination Connect, so I invite you to take a look. It's again very widely defined. It says to deep tech innovation aims to provide concrete solutions to our societal problems by finding its source in the deeper interactions with the most recent scientific and technological advances, and by seeking to produce a profound impact in the targeted application areas. And then the requirement for receiving at least seed round, it is not it is not part of definition what is a startup, but this is a criteria that has been mentioned in the call text, if I'm not mistaken, on the Startup Europe.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you.
And here again, maybe if I may, always pay attention to the call text, because here it says projects are expected to prioritize. So it is not must, it is not should, it's expected to prioritize. So it's not a limited conditions, let's say.
Okay, thank you, Ekaterina.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. If the proposal doesn't go for cascade funding, is it eligible contributing to expenses faced by startups to participate in the activities?
I can take this one, and indeed, the other way of implementing the project is without cascade funding. And the project, very important, maybe something which I have not mentioned in my presentation about cascade funding, financial support of third parties, or financial support of third parties, is that the activities which are supported by the which the grants can be spent on can't be delivered by the consortia members. So if you're part of that, the consortia selecting the startups, you won't be able to provide against the money that you are offering the services that the acceleration services, for instance, that the companies will need. So this means that there can be we can receive applications from consortia members willing to provide these activities directly to startups. And we've had examples in the past of different startup accelerators that jointly participated in a project that, for instance, provided the selected startups access to a 6-month joint acceleration program done organized in their own ecosystems. So yes, these kind of expenses can be eligible, as well as travels and so on.
Okay, thank you, Katalin. Next question. Hello, thank you in advance for this informative session. My question, is this call yearly repetitive or will it only take place once? Maybe Katerina, this one is for you.
Yes, this is a great question to receive. And again, What I can tell at this stage, as you have seen from my presentation, we believe that Startup Europe has already certain trademark. I mean, I think it can also be proud by certain very good achievements in the area of supporting the deep tech startups. We are very happy to support the under 23-24 work program. But as concerning the next years, it's really highly uncertain, and I wouldn't be able to give you definite answer whether the same call for Startup Europe would take place under 25 or 26-27 work programs. That's obviously, it's all under discussion, also in the close collaboration with the program committee delegates, the representative of the member states, that we design the work program and the calls. So to be seen.
Thank you. Next question, please. What exactly is meant by the seed readiness and product market fit stage for startups to be supported under the call? The meaning may vary in IT versus deep tech. Maybe that's also for you, Ekaterina?
Yes, how to say, we do not, there is no specific TRL mentioned in this call, but basically what we mean by that, if I just can explain, just give my interpretation, by the seed readiness and product market fit stage, we do not, it is targeted to the startups that already like running, let's say, that already figure out certain things. They are not very, very, very early stage startups who are really, how to say, just, you know, starting off the ground and haven't figured out their business model. So it's already certain, let's say, early stage of maturity is very welcome for to be supported under this call.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please. Can we include the financial support for startups within the opportunities we will provide to startups rather than directly providing cash to them? Maybe Katalin, this one is for you.
I'm not sure I understood the question properly, but if this is about what we've just discussed, whether the consortia can provide the opportunities against the cash, the funding which they will offer, that's a no. So do you think this is the meaning of the question? Can we include the financial support for startups within the opportunities we provide to startups rather than directly providing cash to them? I mean, as I said, I mean, you won't be able to provide the services yourselves if you decide to use financial support to third parties. I hope I'm right in my understanding of your question. Otherwise, please be a bit specific in through the research inquiry service, and we will clarify it even better, and also through an FAQ. Why not?
Okay, thank you. Next question. Is providing support to future entrepreneurs to start a venture and guiding them towards seed readiness within the scope of the call? So maybe I get back to you, Ekaterina.
Yes, my answer would be, it seems from the question that you are talking about very, very, very early stage that I explained before. I mean, just, you know, starting a company, that's how I understand and how I interpret your question. I do think that we in our call, in this call, we are talking rather linked to the new European Innovation Agenda for the scaling up the companies and ensuring they grow. So they should be already, how to say, not the future entrepreneurs, but I would say already current entrepreneurs having a startups and figuring out area and business model that they wanted to work at, and probably even already raised the first round of the seed capital at least. And this is the companies we aim to prioritize in this call.
Thank you. Next question, please. When will Startup Europe calls granted projects be announced?
We have very clear rules in this regard. So the call will close its application phase on the 25th of April, 2024. So we would be able to announce the evaluation results around 8 months after that. So our legal required timeline is 8 months from then, from the call deadline closure. So this means 25th of December, if I'm not mistaken. So the projects can be announced by then, and as of that, there is this process of signing the projects, and they would be able to start most likely in 2025.
Actually, maybe if I can jump in this one, I think the information will be sent at the end of September.
Oh, yes,
we expect to
you're right.
sign by the end of the year.
Yes, correct. We expect to sign the projects by the end of the year, and
Yes.
we expect to inform them by 5 months after. Indeed, 5 plus 3. So 5 is 5 months means September 24. Yes, and signature by Christmas, so it will be a nice gift to the applicant, I guess. So the ones who will be lucky will have to work before Christmas as well.
Exactly.
And then the projects will be actually up and running as of 2025. Indeed. Thank you, Gerald.
Yes. Okay, next question, please. What is meant by market footprint?
I can take it maybe. Well, I just in the context, to put it in the context, here we expect, we have this phrase under expected outcomes. An expected outcome is to increase the market footprint of European startups in strategic digital technologies and deep tech innovation. Here, what we mean by market footprint, I would say it's increasing the market uptake, the presence of the companies at the market, the importance of the specific technologies at the market.
Okay, thank you. What is the earliest project start date that is expected by the EU?
So we've just covered that with a tiny hiccup. So it will be as of 2025, early 2025.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Will the webinar be circulated after the session? On this, I can reply that this session is recorded and it will be available on our website along with the slides. So we can go to the next one. A technical question. Where in the budget can we put the grants for startup over goods, works, services?
Now there's a specific column in the budget that you'll see in the application form. So in part A, in the administrative form, you'll have the budget under section, I think, 3. Then in the section 3 of part A, you can fill it in under financial support to third parties. Please fill it in there.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Regarding links with other EU initiatives, are synergies with the RIVs encouraged, in particular I3 projects, results expected in March? Maybe Katerina?
Yes, and I would like to particularly thank Diego for this question, because I didn't mention it because at the moment of the drafting work program, regional innovation valleys did not exist. They were just been, created in parallel. It's a little bit ongoing processes. So in terms of whether it is encouraged, in the call text, there is no mentioning of any links and synergies, so it is not a requirement, just let to be clear. If I want to give you my personal perspective also from the innovation policy side, yes, it's very much encouraged, because we do see that now regional innovation valleys are going to be formed. There are going to be regions and also projects were going to be identified, and obviously, as I mentioned to you, we look at the European innovation ecosystems and also its successes as a common, let's say, in collaboration with also other projects and initiatives that it is supported. So yes, of course, we would, if we see in the future the links with regional innovation valleys, we would be very happy to have it, but it will not be a criteria under regulation. So let me just be clear on that.
Thank you. Next question, please. What is the proposed method for delivering the financial support aimed at startup? Non-compulsory financial support. Maybe Katalin?
Well, we've said it. It's only grants. It's only in the form of grants. If that is the, if I understand well the question.
Okay. Next question, please. Is it possible to rely on extensive cooperation from the EU initiatives which we plan to engage in the project? Should we contact them first to receive consent?
Shall I, Katarina, or I'm happy.
I mean, I must say I don't have, I'm afraid, the answer to this question as well as common practice. I mean, I don't know, I cannot say I haven't seen this part of the story on preparing the applications and whether you put already in the context and crafting some concrete plans with initiatives.
Yes. Anyway, if you are to work with them, I suppose you'll have to. I mean, if you want to propose something with a specific initiative, I suppose you'll have to have their agreement. So also, you'll have to show also through the application how you understand the collaboration with them, how you want to do to set it in place. So maybe this is something that you'll have to cover. I mean, to make sure that they can actually implement what you want to propose. So I would just suggest that discussions beforehand, I think they are quite could be useful. I mean, it's up to the applicant to advance on that or not.
Thank you. Being mindful of the time, I will take another couple of questions, and the rest I think we'll address them in the FAQ if you would agree. So next question is, what are the links to be made with the results of the H2020 Startup Europe projects?
I don't think this is a call requirement, so I don't think you necessarily have to do it, but
yes, I support that. I mean,
yes,
there's no requirement. If you think that for your proposal any links would be useful, you are very free to do so. If not, it is not a requirement. What I can just say that, of course, the slides that I have shown to you, you could see already the current running Startup Europe projects. Of course, you can use them for inspiration, for you know, there are some success stories published. You can see what they're doing, how they did it, how they achieved it. That could help you, of course, with preparing your application, I think.
Okay, thank you. How many partners are preferable to implement the support for startups?
This is a question that I think you have the answer to, just because you know what you would like to propose. So this depends on the level, the type of activities that you would like to implement and deliver. So we don't have a minimum or maximum requirement in this regard, but get some inspiration also from other projects if you wish. But that's something that's public information that everybody has access to. But it's not like we have a gold standard in this regard. And don't forget that there is a point under the in the template about quality and efficiency of the implementation, especially related to the consortium as a whole. So experts also look into that. So try to have a consortium which is very oiled, a very well-oiled machine that can really deliver what you are aiming for. So yeah.
Okay. And I will take one last question. Are EITs expected to take part in consortia?
I think the answer is exactly what Katalin said before. You have to look at the call eligibility criteria that are clearly outlined in the call text. They are very, let's say, if I may say, loose. They are very open. So it's up to you to make these decisions.
Okay. Should we stop here, or are you willing to take another couple of questions? Because I'm trying to be mindful of the time.
I think we can stop and we can revert to all the all participants afterwards.
Okay, excellent. So thanks a lot for answering all these questions, Katerina and Ekaterina. If we go back to the slide, maybe we can actually start to conclude and summarize this session. Yes, so as a summary, I think you have, as participants, received detailed information on the two topics for this call. Maybe a few reminders. The call deadline for the two topics is the 25th of April 2024, so this is in roughly 2 months. On the first topic, which is the AU-EU Innovation Platform, there is a budget of 2.5 million euros, and it is expected to have 1 grant to be signed. On the other topic, the Startup Europe, there is a budget of 12 million euros, and it is expected to sign between 6 to 8 grants. These are just expectations, and we will see when we receive all the proposals, which ones and how many will be ready to start the grant agreement process. During the month of from let's say the call deadline, which is on April, you will have the evaluation that will last for 5 months. So that means that the feedback to applicant will be received around end of September. And the lucky ones who will be contacted for grant agreement preparation, we expect to sign the grants by the end of 2024. So that's a timeline in case you were wondering when we expect to sign the grants. So it's basically for all of them towards the end of 2024. As we said, the questions asked will be part of the FAQ. They will be also accessible via the calls page. You can ask any questions as well covered today by the Research and Query Service. I think this is on my next slide. The slide will be available on our website, and you will be able to click some of the links which are on the PowerPoint. And I think in the next slide, we have actually this link to the Research and Query Service, which is really the Horizon Europe place where you can ask these questions, and they are usually disseminated to the right person to answer your questions. So that's another way to get some feedback if you have more questions. And with this, I think I would like to conclude, and I would like to warmly thank the speakers and all participants for your attendance. And now I will close the session, and I wish you all success in the drafting and submission of your proposal. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.